Welcome back, everyone. This is Tucker. Let's talk weather. Our weather pattern is changing very quickly right now, and I'm going to get you ready for the next several days. We're talking rain chances, temperature swings, and everything in between. Hey guys, good to see you all again. Hope your week is going well and only getting better. I can say in terms of our weather, things are improving, but as a whole, if you take this upcoming week and you compare it to last week, it is completely different. Going to make some notes on allergies as well. I know that's a big thing that people are thinking about this time of year. I'm up here in New England and they're kind of bad, so I can only imagine what it's like for you guys who are a little bit farther south. Memphis or Chattanooga, Tennessee are like the allergy capitals of the United States. And I know it's getting bad this time of year down there. Also, a little behind the scenes news. Just bought my flight, just got it all planned out. My storm chase this year, my annual chasecation. This was the crew last year, me, Brandon in the middle, and Andy there. We all went to Penn State. We got Sam with us, another one of my friends from Penn State. We're going to be storm chasing May 28th through June 5th, so you'll want to check back for some exciting updates. We basically drive across the country and chase storms, and honestly, I really don't look forward to anything more than that. So I'm super hyped, and I'll be taking you guys along with me. Enough banter, let's take you to the weather forecast now, and you can see our map here depicting the reason it's quiet across the U.S. right now. At the surface, we got a lot of high pressure going on out there, keeping our weather dry and generally nice. But let's jump into that big picture. I'll show you what you can plan on and what's driving the changes in our weather this week. We're starting with a look at the big picture here. Our big players in the weather, those orange colors are ridges. They are typically marked by high pressure, warmer weather, and those blue colors indicate troughs. Cooler weather, generally storm systems, and they all work together to really drive the weather we're experiencing at the ground. And there's one thing that really stands out as we get into the later days of this week. Can you see it? We got this ridge. It's developing across the western U.S. And when we get western ridges, what they do is they slow down the pursuit of these storm systems into the U.S. They don't really let them get in. Now, it can mean colder than average weather out east, and we'll certainly see that play out as well. It can also mean there is stormier weather out east, and that is a factor that will come into play, as you can see here. Heading into the later days of the week, we got that little bubble showing up in the southeast. That's going to ride up the coast. That's our next storm system that'll bring some inclement weather. Meanwhile, that ridge stays pretty strong across the western U.S., though it begins to fade as we get into the back half of the weekend. And as it does, it will allow for our next storm system to come in, this guy right here. And we're going to see that sweep across the northern tier of the U.S. as we get into next week. So two systems to watch. This guy that strays off the coastline, this guy that cuts through the north central U.S., and those will be our big players in our weather. But otherwise, generally speaking, not a super stormy pattern. What we would look for with severe weather is one of these guys here, except those blue colors you'd see dipping down a lot more like that. We simply don't have anything amplified, as we say, and that means there's just not a lot of energy, not a lot of power. So severe weather going to be on the lower end, but let's get to those rain chances and the temperature changes that will come along with these storms. So here are our rain chances, and by the way, I keep seeing people trying to hype up this week one way or another. I hate hype. It drives me crazy. I'm just going to give it to you how it is. Honestly, it's going to be a really nice week, okay? So get outside and enjoy the weather. But again, we're making sure you know what to expect when you step out the door. Temperatures are changing. There are going to be some rain chances. And here we are as we head into the later days of the week. You're going to see those rain showers begin to develop, especially across the mid-south here as we head into Thursday and across the Pacific Northwest as well. Remember, these are the areas where we have those two little upper-level systems coming in. They destabilize the air. They allow that moisture and the warmth of the ground to rise up. And that's why we get rain as a result. So keeping an eye on that later on Thursday. Then on Friday, that rain chance on the northwestern portion of the United States, that'll go away temporarily. But in the east, I would expect this Friday and Saturday especially to be quite rainy across the eastern U.S., especially along the east coast as that system rides up the coastline. Elsewhere in the country, what are we looking at here? Well, this is great news. You get high pressure that's basically going to protect the entire interior of the United States otherwise. So if you're looking to get outside after winter, you just haven't really done it yet, well, this will be a great week to step outside, a great weekend as high pressure keeps things quiet for the most part out there. Meanwhile, we do have rain continuing in the eastern U.S., some snow in the mountains in northern New England, could be a few inches at least out there, but it isn't going to rain or snow anywhere near the coastline this time. Then we have next week our system beginning to move in from the western U.S. It's actually this guy here starting to develop. It'll be two guys, actually. That's our first one. This is as we head into late Sunday. Here's another system off the coastline, by the way. That's just going to graze the East Coast. And I'll also mention, too, as this guy develops in the north central U.S., it is going to be pretty windy to end the weekend. That'll bring some warmth farther north. It'll bring some cooler weather back in across the Rocky Mountains. But that is going to be something to at least make note of. We're getting into windy weather season as our patterns change. As a whole, though, this guy's really just largely going to fly to the north and impact Canada. Then we have our next system we're going to watch. That one's not going to be in the same area, but next week, this is later in the week, we'll be watching for a little more bumpiness, again, out here in the north central U.S. But as you can tell, neither of those systems are particularly strong, and we're looking, a good week out now. So even this guy out here, as we get into the following week, may not be a huge factor, but we are talking about at least some breeziness and in the middle, temperature changes that we're going to talk about right now. So just going to give you an overview of where temperatures will be warmer and colder than average. And as we head into the middle and later days of the week, this is your Wednesday. It's going to be pretty chilly in the eastern U.S. where you see those blue colors. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty nice farther west where you're seeing those oranges. Here we are Thursday, not much of a change in the pattern. Friday, pretty similar as well. Then once we get into the weekend, you're going to see that milder air begin to stretch farther into the central U.S. The eastern U.S. still stays a little more March-like. Into Sunday, not much of a change here. The central U.S. really getting warm. And then it's next week we finally begin to see some return of warmer weather in the eastern U.S. But as a whole, these temperatures are going to be pretty moderate heading into next week without any big swings. But we will need to keep an eye on some systems that could bring some cooler weather to the northeast. At least that's the possibility at play here. As far as high temperatures go, here we are looking at Wednesday. Anywhere you're seeing those red colors, those are generally speaking temps around 70. And you can see them across a good chunk of the central U.S. It's going to be pretty darn hot in the southwestern U.S. Once again, temps should be in the 90s out there. Meanwhile, the northeast, back into the 40s and 30s. And like I said, it's going to be kind of chilly out in the eastern U.S. Here we are on your Thursday. Temperatures kind of cool in the northeast, but elsewhere, it's going to be very mild. We're looking at 60s pretty well into Canada. And anywhere you're seeing those whiter and brown colors, those are 80s and 90s across the southern U.S. So, that's like late spring right there. 100-degree temperatures are possible in the southwestern U.S. on your Friday. We're also looking at still that cooler weather in the northeast and temperatures that could be approaching 70 on the Canadian border near North Dakota and Montana. It's going to be a very warm Saturday. We got temps that'll be up to 90 degrees across a good chunk of the plains here. Still missing out there in the northeast, also cooling off in the northwest as well. Temperatures are turning back to the 40s and 50s. We continue to see that cool air move in on Sunday in the northwest. Stays cool in the northeast, and it's really going to be pretty hot here across Texas on Sunday. I mean, those are widespread temperatures that may be in the 90s. Then next week, like I said, our temperatures moderate out a bit. We got that cold front that comes in. You can see it pretty clearly here, wiping out that warmth. Still going to be warm in the far southern U.S., but we're back to more typical April levels on Monday. And we're going to keep them at those more typical levels as we head into the following days, if not on the warmer end of things, like you can see out here in the plains. Still pretty cool out in the northeast. Like I said, we never really fully warm up out there, but it will begin to get a bit better as we get towards the middle of next week. Elsewhere, though, going to be pretty nice, very spring-like. And for allergies, as you can tell, most of the U.S., I believe we're going to see a lot of blooming this week. So unless you're in the northeastern U.S., we're talking Great Lakes region as well, unless you're in those areas, I would expect we see trees really begin to pop. And if you're not already taking those allergy meds, especially if you're in the north central U.S., that's something to really start thinking about getting ahead of now, because pollen's going to be everywhere, especially with some of these windier days. That's going to blow it all around and really add to the allergy fight if you're an allergy sufferer. Otherwise, yeah, southeastern U.S., again, still looking like it's going to be pretty high. In the south central U.S. too, allergy season really going to continue to be in full swing here. Well, we'll leave it at that, though. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. I'm always curious who's watching, where you're watching from. Just say hi if you want in the comments. And, we don't have a ton to go over this week, but we'll be watching for any of those bigger changes down the road. And, of course, we're still getting into peak tornado season, so be sure to check back as we inevitably see more severe weather down the road. Have a good week, guys. Get outside and enjoy.